going to train really intensively today. We're going to do all three of these. They all tie together: bed cleanup, shovel edge, and mulch. First off, the number one thing I need from you guys is to try to develop, as Bruce calls it, the critical eye. So as we walk onto a job site, we're trying to look at anything that is unkept, untidy, and that might detract from our finished product. So one of the things that I see a lot that we have problems with is leaves in shrubs. There are some that are really, really impossible to get out of. I mean, I can name the names, but you probably won't know what they are. But you'll know when you get out there and they're all tangled up and you can't get them out. The thing I say, one of the easiest little tricks is to take the blower and put it gently down to the center of the bush and just move it around like this. And do that before you do the rest of your bed, because what that does is it basically just blows it out in all directions. So if you've already come and you've blown everything this way, and then you try to do that, then it's just going to blow it right back into where you've already been. And one of the easiest ways to save time is to stop walking over yourself. So if you clean an area, clean it full one way at one time, and then keep moving. So get the leaves out of your shrubs first. There are going to be some occasions where you're going to have to reach your hands in there. Now, if it's a shrub that's tough to get out of, do we expect every little crumb out of there? No. You know, if it's right by the front door, you want to work a little harder on it. But get in there, get the bulk of those leaves out so that you have a good product going forward. We're also going to go back and we're going to cut back any remaining ornamental grasses. Usually in the fall we'll leave all the short ones and we'll cut the tall ones. The tall ones kind of tend to make a mess over the winter. The short ones stay a little tidier and add some texture. So we leave the small ones, so we're going to go back, we're going to cut back all the small ones, unless your notes say differently. So that first thing I should have said before we even talked to this is read your notes when you get on the job. So we're going to cut back all those grasses. We're going to cut them as low as we can without damaging the crown. For those of you that don't know, the crown is going to be the part that kind of protrudes from the ground that then all the growth comes from. So there's a little, depending on the type of plant, there's going to be a base that you're going to get. And it's going to be a little tougher than the foliage part. You'll be able to distinguish it as soon as you kind of start cutting. It'll dictate where you're able to cut. So if you feel like you're really having to cut hard to get through these grasses, you're probably into the crown. So we need to raise that up a little bit at that point. So take the time to get all the little stringy things off the side. We don't want to do a bozo haircut where there's stuff coming off the sides but the top's all scalped. So make sure we get all the little stringy things off the side. Cut back any spent perennials. Easiest way to tell these is just kind of a dead flower head. A lot of times the plant will tell you where to cut it. You might see some foliage on the ground that's kind of either slightly green or might be getting towards brown, and then a stalk that comes up. It's called basal foliage. We're going to cut it right above that basal foliage and leave the basal foliage there. If the plant has died all the way back, you should be able, by this point in the year, you should be able to pretty easily just grab it and just kind of pull it and the foliage go away. That'll let you know you can take all that foliage away. If the foliage is a little tough, held tight, then you just want to clip those tops of the tendons. We're going to remove any pocketed leaves. These are leaves that are caught in corners and bushes. Do a good job with this. This is probably the number one thing that when we go to mulch would delay us, is if we go and there's a bunch of leaves stuck in a corner or stuck in the base of a shrub. Because while you're out there and those leaves don't look that noticeable when you've got the whole bed clean and everything, you throw down a big dark mat of mulch, those tan leaves will stick out like a sore thumb. We're going to remove any weeds. As we get later in the season, you may want to talk to your field supervisor about, is it okay if you can take a reciprocator with you, because the weeds are going to get worse as we go along. So if we get into late April and we're just doing a cleanup on this place, you bet you're going to spend a lot of time on weeds. So make sure that you plan accordingly. Take the reciprocator and we'll show you how to properly use that. Sometimes it's just as easy as just having a shovel and just pop it and go. As long as you get below that crown that we talked about, that weed's gone. As long as you get that's where that main growth comes from. As long as you get that weed's gone. We're going to rake the beds smooth and prepare them for mulch. Guys, the bed cleanup crew sets the mulch crew up for success. If you leave them with shovel edge, big clumps, with a bed that's not raked smooth, we're going to use more materials, more time. We're also going to, if they're doing it right, they're going to take the time to get it smoothed out. Because either way, it's going to take the time. It's probably quicker for them to go ahead and try to smooth it out. So the bed cleanup crew, the shovel edge crew really sets up the mulch crew for success.
When you get to the job, you want to walk it and plan it first. Go with your crew member and plan it. Plan it out. we've got a lot more success that way. You won't run into any unexpected leaves, pocket leaves, or grasses you forgot. That way you can send a picture to TJ and say, is this part of this property? And he can help hopefully answer that for you. And then by the time you're into the job, you have an answer for you. You can't always answer right away, but we should answer as soon as you can.
Already got the edge. When you were doing the edge, has to be a depth between 2 inches to 4 inches. The edge has to be 90 degrees by 45 degree
Does
angle.
everyone know what Francisco means by a 90 and a 45? So when we come down, we want to come down nice and straight on our angle. We don't want our angle kicked in, kicked out, nice straight down angle. And then we don't want to have it a trench. So we want to take that as you're coming, you're going to come down, and as you come with the shovel, you just get it tilted slightly so that you can get a little bit more depth on your shovel edge, and you just flip that back in, chop up that dirt and rake it out. The importance of that is that we won't get as much erosion with it this way. It gives it a wider area to flow. If we get a real steep thing here and a real steep thing here, then we got a channel, and that water's going to run, and it's going to wash out the mulch, and it's going to create a deeper edge than we actually want.
One thing is to walk around the house is a big thing. So the cables, the charter barriers are pretty shallow. So when you walk around the house, look for the cable box, and then look for the telephone pole or the little green dome, and you can get a good idea of, they try to work in straight lines. Sometimes it's not that way, but sometimes it is. So look for that, and then that spot where you think it is, I just need a little 10-foot section you're probably have to do by hand.
Always take flags with you so that you can mark any damage.
And as we always do, we knock on the door. If you talk to the homeowner, you can find out a lot about where stuff is at. They usually know where your landscape lighting is, or cable box is, if they have your telephone lines. That's very important to talk to them because they can help you out a lot there. Dog fences and all that. Anything else?
Never like dump like this sod or grass onto the bed and kind of make it get loose because that's going to grow, and then you have more work to be cleaning up. Alright, always put it on the wheelbarrow and put it in the trailer. Alright.
Now we want to try to leave as much soil on site as possible. Fill low spots in the bed, get it raked out real smooth. If you get it, push it back. We don't want to pile any soil up on the base of shrubs or trees. That's going to end up making us mulch more. The more that we pile up on these root zones of these plants, it makes it harder for that oxygen exchange. So we want to leave as much soil, but we don't want to pile anything up. We don't edge rock beds. So don't try on just making a bigger mess. We do edge along curbs. We do edge along sidewalks. We just basically, you don't need as deep of an edge. We're just going to pull it back, get that 2 inches that you need. Generally, you can just take that shovel, guys, run it along that hard edge and just kind of drag it along and just be flipping the stuff back. You don't have to actually go to digging any of it. We're just pulling it back, leaving a little bit of an edge so that the mulch doesn't wash over onto their sidewalk. Also, we have straight lines and equal size circles. So, you know, step back, look, and if it's not equal, then go back and edge a little bit more out of one side. If you step back and you look and you got a nice straight line and it kicks out a little bit and it comes back in, just take that little nub out. Just take it out, move it. But the key is, if you got a nice smooth swoop or you got a nice straight line, keep that going, make it look nice.
You're going around the trees, make nice smooth circles, tilt the shovel down, like you're measuring. Find this point on the shovel where you can measure out to, and just go around the tree and measure out that way. That's a good way to make sure your circle's nice and round.
If you guys get some property, there's something that is broken, always make notes. Because if you didn't do it, they're going to try to blame it on you.
That pretty much is bed cleanup and shovel edge. Those tie really close together to produce a good finished product for mulch. All right, Andy's going to go over mulch. We got a great shovel edge, we got a great bed cleanup. We're ready to go in and mulch it. Mulching is the finished product. It's the last thing they're going to see. And it's going to be there all year long. If you install it perfectly, they got a perfect thing to look at all year long. If we install it poorly, we'll probably be back there to fix it so they can have something perfect to look at all year long. So Andy's going to go over the basics here.
Okay, the most important thing is, of course, always to read your notes. Make sure sometimes stuff gets mixed up, and you need to make sure you have the right mulch for the right job. So there's three different kinds of mulch we generally put out. There's dyed black, dyed brown, and double ground. You don't want to put double ground on a place that's supposed to be dyed black. You have to come back and get it all up and put it all back down again. So always make sure and double check you have the right mulch for the right job. Don't run over the same line over and over again. You don't want to create traffic lines in their yard. That's a very important thing. You want to keep your mess to a minimal. When you're using dyed brown, dyed black, and sometimes double ground, it will stain the concrete. That's very important. You don't want to make a big black mark right in front of the house. The customers do not like that. So a quick, easy way to do that is you set down a tarp. Just set down a tarp where you pull the mulch out at. It helps out a lot. That way all the mulch falls on the tarp, doesn't stain the concrete. You makes it clean up really easy. Just pull the tarp, put it back in, you're ready to go. Try to put down 3/4 of an inch to an inch of mulch. That's important because the jobs are bid for that. If you put down 2 or 3 inches, you're going to run out of mulch. So you want to make sure when you're throwing out the mulch, just stick your finger and you can kind of get a good idea of where it's at.
Generally, guys, the main concern is that we just want to get a nice even color across the bed. And as long as you're, the thinner you can do a nice even color, the better. But make sure you're not leaving, okay, you got a nice spot of color and then we got, a little 3-foot area of where the old stuff is turned into the new stuff and it's kind of a mixed batch. Just what it takes to make a nice even color is about 3/4 of an inch to 1 inch. So as you get going through the bed, you might find, as you get going, you kind of start to realize, okay, I can use a little less here, I can use a little less, and you'll start to really dial in how much you need to use.
One of the important things also is to spread as you go. Don't just dump and come back and spread after, because that always generally leads to is you run out of mulch. You don't always put the right big pile or the right piles in certain spots. So you just want to, as you bring a wheelbarrow out, you spread it out and then you go back for more. Another important thing is not the volcano around trees. We've all seen that where it's all piled up and you got a nice, there's a nice bowl with a tree right there. It's hard as a tree.
The most horticulturally sound practice is not have any mulch touching the trunk of the tree at all. So now a lot of our customers don't understand that. So the best thing to do is to get as thin as possible to color near the tree. You're going to probably have to do that by hand, and then you can get a little bit thicker as you go away. It doesn't mound up on the trunk of the tree, and the reason for this, guys, is mulch is meant to hold moisture. So it's going to hold moisture against that trunk of that tree. Things that love moisture, fungus, insects, bacteria. Those are the kind of things that thrive in hot and moisture. And mulch, it holds heat, it holds moisture. So keep the trunks of the tree real thin, get a little bit thicker as we go.
Make sure you get underneath the bushes. You're not going to, like you said, don't pile it up on the bush, but make sure you got a nice even coat. Go ahead and lift up the branches of the bush, slide a nice smooth, even coat of mulch underneath it. Make sure that you get nice even along the foundation. It's not wavy. You don't want any waves on the foundation, but nice and smooth. Nice even line along the foundation.
We want to keep it about 1 inch or 2 below any siding, or what they call the sill plate, so that's where your foundation is going to meet the structure of the house. That can invite some insects, so we want to keep that down 1 inch or 2 below that.
Sure, not to fill in the trenches, let the guys all shovel edge. You want a nice even coat, like it was just smooth right on down. Do your best to keep all the mulch out of the grass, because when you have to blow the mulch out of the grass, you blow all the debris from the grass into your nice fresh mulch. So keep cautious of the mulch, keeping all the mulch in the beds, and keeping all the grass in the grass.
And then probably one of the most critical things on a good mulch job is a good cleanup. We don't leave mulch in the branches of shrubs. We don't leave mulch on window wells, window sills, sill plates, porches. Our mulch is clean when we leave the job. Everything is cleaned up. And again, it goes back to that critical eye. If you're throwing some mulch and there's mulch just dust on the siding, blow it off. On the window wells, on the sills, blow them off.
Make sure that valve boxes don't get covered up, and make sure water meter pit lids don't get covered up.
So there's going to be green irrigation boxes. There's sometimes metal water meter pits. There's termite stations, the little green termite stations. Anything that looks like it's a lid that someone needs to access, make sure those stay uncovered.